In today's time and age, all of us are expected to be productive, learn new things, work on self-development, but at the same time there are so many distractions around us which are keeping us from achieving those things, which are not letting us focus. Ability to focus is almost like a superpower these days, and if you want to improve on this superpower, this video is for you. Hey everyone, I'm Kuntal. Welcome to today's episode of Knowledge Curry. Today we will discuss scientifically proven tips on improving focus from Dr. Andrew Huberman. Dr. Huberman is an American neuroscientist and he's also a very famous podcast personality. Before we move ahead, please subscribe to our channel so you do not miss catching our future videos. First of all, let's understand what's happening in our brain when we are trying to focus. So there are two key neurotransmitters that are at work at this stage. The first one is norepinephrine, which works by waking up the brain. It's almost like sending energy to our brain and makes it light up for receiving the signals or stimuli that are around us. And the second one is acetylcholine. Acetylcholine basically works like a flashlight. So your brain is lit up because of norepinephrine, and now acetylcholine is actually amplifying certain signals in your brain and helping you focus, and it gets secreted from two parts of your brain. One is the prefrontal cortex, which is in front of your brain, and one is basal ganglia, that's at the back. So when these two neurotransmitters get secreted together, then your brain actually becomes open to new learning, is able to focus, and whatever you are able to focus on during this time, it will lead to change in the neural pathways and will lead to long-term learning and memory. So now that we have the fundamentals in place, let's move to the 5 tips suggested by Dr. Andrew Huberman. Mental focus follows visual focus. So what does it mean? I'll give you some examples. You all must have heard of these phrases, जो दिखता है वो बिकता है, or out of sight, out of mind. Why? Because our mind focuses on something that our eyes are focusing on, and that's the reason why all the hoardings are actually trying to catch your visual attention. So the usage of colors, the imagery, so everything is designed in such a way that they are able to grab your attention, basically your visual attention. This is because our ancestors were living in conditions where they had to constantly scan their surroundings either for food or for danger, and they were signaling this. Eyes were actually instruments that were signaling our brain on what to focus on, and this system still remains. What this means for us is that if you strengthen your own ability to visually focus on something, you will be able to get mental focus for that thing. And the good part is that you can actually practice visual focus. It's middle of the day, you are feeling little drowsy, not being able to attend to something like an Excel sheet, and you have to do some analysis. What you can do is try to focus on a small part and do this for 60 seconds, and you will immediately see that you are able to attend to that thing in a much better way. Tip number 2, use storytelling to get dopamine rush. So all of us are able to focus on things we love to do, right? Whether we love to speak, love to write, some people love making presentations, no problem. But the truth is that most of the work that we have to do in life in order to be healthy or in order to be successful or maybe to learn something, it's actually filled with a lot of boring activities, and we find it very, very difficult to focus on these things. So what do we do? Now before we move on to the solution, I want to tell you a little bit more about dopamine. So dopamine is almost like equivalent to what money is in the real world. When we do something good, the society rewards us with money. Whenever we do something that's good for the survival of our species or the survival of human body, our body rewards us with dopamine. So whenever we are looking at sugary foods, or we smell something fried, whenever we are looking at someone who's good looking, whenever we are thinking of sexual acts. And dopamine is very, very important because it also leads to release of these focus hormones that we discussed in our brain. But the issue is that most of the activities that are important for us to be healthy, to be successful in life, to work long term on specific projects actually are not pleasurable, right? So they are boring activities, and they usually do not lead to secretion of dopamine in our brains and bodies. So Dr. Huberman suggests something very interesting that we can do in these cases. We can do storytelling to our brain. So whenever we can't attach direct dopamine release to an event, we find it boring, we can attach meaning to it by either we can tell ourselves that we are doing it for love, or we are doing it to avoid a situation. So it can be shame, it can be fear. So for example, I will refrain from eating too much fried food because I do not want to get a heart attack sometime in future. So let's first talk about the workspace. Now, if you want to focus, as we all know, you need to remove distractions. So whenever you are trying to do some focused work, you remove your phone, you open only one window where you want to work. Another very interesting thing that he told in one of his podcasts was if you want to focus and do some analytical work, you should be sitting in a smaller room with a lower roof, and if you want to do some creative work, you should actually be sitting in a larger room in a more open area. So this was completely new for me. Another thing that he mentioned was that if you wear a hat, it basically limits your visual field, and as we discussed in point number 1, right, your visual focus helps you focus mentally. So this wearing a hat actually helps you focus on your laptop or whatever work you're trying to do. Now let's move to tip number 4. So many a times it happens when we are attending a talk or a presentation, and for some time our mind just shuts off and we just can't register what the other person is saying or what they are presenting. And in medical terms, this is called attentional blink. Now all of us suffer from these attentional blinks. However, some people can have it more than other people, and they of course then tend to have poorer focus. There are scientifically proven ways to improve this state, to have less attentional blinks. So there are 2 things that we can do to improve this. The first one is open monitoring, wherein we try to have a blurry vision. We are not particularly focusing on something, but having a vision where we are observing everything that's coming in front of our eyes, including what's on both the sides. And this is many a times also practiced by monks. Now the second one is very, very similar to Vipassana meditation, wherein you close your eyes and you just observe your breath and other processes that are happening inside of your body, whichever you can observe. And both these things have been proven to improve the number of attentional blinks that anyone faces. So the last point is around biohacking. There are a number of things that you can include and exclude from your diet which can help you improve attention and focus. So the first thing is sugar. Excessive sugar intake can actually impair your ability to attend and focus. Second one is including omega-3 fatty acids in your diet, and people who are vegetarians, they can also take supplements if they are okay with it. The third thing is caffeine, which all of us are aware of. So Huberman says that if you look at the things that you can take in terms of in the drug category, caffeine is the one with the least harmful effects. However, caffeine makes your mind alert, but it does not help you focus. So there are 2 different things. One is waking up your brain, and the second one, as we discussed, focusing. So it helps you be attentive, it makes you up, but focusing is different than being alert. And the last thing is nicotine, which is quite harmful especially when you smoke it, very harmful for our body, but still many people take nicotine because it improves their focus. However, Dr. Huberman suggests against it, but he mentions it because it is something that's very, very prevalent. So this was today's video. If you liked it, please press the like button, and also please tell us in the comments what kind of videos you want us to make in future. So see you in the next episode. Till then, stay happy and stay curious.